Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Hyped. I'm joined this episode by hopefully someone that doesn't need any introduction, but I will give him a long one. Jadrian, or you put your name as Jay Clark. So shall I call you Jay? Is that all right? Or
yeah, you can call me whatever you want.
We're not friends. We're not close enough friends yet. I want to make sure I don't want to break any boundaries here. But yeah, really, really pleased that you came on the show. I already just said this to you, didn't I? But I am really pleased that you agreed to come on. Jay, it's a pleasure to have you. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you involved in British American football alone, let alone actually getting you on the show. I'm going to give a little bit of background into Jadrian's career. I did a little bit of googling and made some notes earlier, so I'm just going to read off some stuff. Hopefully, you remember all of this, Jay. But played at college. Is it Weber? How do you pronounce
that?
Yeah,
Weber State.
Weber State, 2013 to 2016, you totaled 6,568 yards on offense, ranking third in the school history. 5,810 of those yards were through the air and included 40 touchdowns. The remaining 758 were rushing and include five touchdowns. You were the second most rushing. It was the second most rushing yards by a QB in college. In that college's history. As a senior in 2016, you earned the third team All Big Sky Conference honors. I don't know what that means, but I wrote it down.
We'll take it.
And then notably in 2016, in the game versus Sacramento State, you accounted for 451 yards in total offense and scored a late rushing touchdown to seal the win. I plucked that out because I was like, there's a story there, man. Hopefully you'll be nice to hear about that. Then obviously, where I first came across you and your name is when you were playing in Europe. So you came across to play in the ELF. Started off in the German league, playing for and I'm probably going to butcher.
Long career, a lot of teams.
Yeah, Kirchdorf Wildcats, helping them win promotion. You played for the New York Lions.
Yeah.
I never know how to say this, but is it Schwabisch?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Unicorns. I know of the team where you threw 4,009 yards and 51 touchdowns in one season.
Not too bad.
Then you joined the Hamburg Sea Devils in 2021 for the ELF. 2023, you were playing for the Rhine Fire, and had a record-setting season, completing 65% of your passes, over 3,500 passing yards and 53 touchdowns. You led them to the ELF Championship that year, and you also got the ELF MVP that same season. Next year, you went and did it again. So 2 years back, you've won 2 European champions to become MVP. And then more recently, you joined in the last season. You joined the Nordic Storm, which was a brand new ELF franchise. They seem to just grab talent from all over the ELF. And you had an amazing season there, 3,700 yards thrown, 47 touchdowns, and a 125.1 QB rating, which is insane across the season. And obviously, I say obviously, I know this, but you guys got all the way to the semi-finals. So a hell of a first season there, and you've recently re-signed for them for this upcoming season. So that's like, I don't know. I know there's loads more than what you've done, but that's what I got. And then. But you played Uniball, I think it was 2 seasons ago, wasn't it? And you guys probably the most dominant Uniball team ever. And in terms of performance, like they didn't even concede a point on defense the whole season. Won every game, took the ring, and you're back this season at UE as the offensive coordinator. How was that for an intro?
That was a lot. I'm a finance guy, but that was a lot of numbers to keep up with. I joke with all the UE guys, like, man, I didn't even need to come play with you guys 2 years ago. You guys didn't give up a point. It doesn't matter what we do on offense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just kick a field goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a surreal feeling when you say all those accolades and all the places I've played over the years.
Yeah,
It starts to make me feel old, man. But maybe experience is a better way to look at it. I've been really honored and privileged to play for so many different cool organizations, different cities. Now back in UK coaching, so it's an interesting turn of events. I came out here all the way in 2019. Did a camp in Bristol. Coach
right.
Dan and Frankie and everybody stayed in contact with me over the years, and eventually were able to convince me to come play. And then this summer, a couple of the guys here from UE, Pete Jones, who's involved with the Bristol Aztecs as well, and Dan came to visit me in Copenhagen, and they
Right.
somehow convinced me to come begin my doctorate and begin my coaching career. So I'm enjoying it.
Right. So you're actually a student while being the offensive coordinator again. So you're working toward a PhD. So it's going to be Dr. Clark.
You can see my tiny little dorm attire here I got going in Bristol. Housing's expensive here, man. It's crazy, but I'm making the most of it and enjoying it and making it through this cold British winter.
Yeah, yeah. I know there's probably a lot more warmer places you could be right now, right?
Yeah.
But what enticed you to take on this OC role?
Yeah, a lot of different reasons. I think first and foremost, I think a thing that for me, outside of traveling, outside of getting to play myself and see all these different cities, probably the other most rewarding part about playing in Europe is getting to grow the game. And when I was here in 2023 and in 2019, I felt the impact that I was able to have on some of the local guys. A guy like Harry Buckland, who was a young British receiver from Bristol, hardworking guy. Didn't get a lot of opportunities when I was here playing, but progressed, and I worked with him a ton while I was there. And then for him to go on and play for the Aztecs and win the championship in the
he had a hell of a season, didn't he, last year, man? Yeah,
right, and made great plays and strides. And so to now come back and be able to get to coach a guy like that and keep helping him progress is really fun. And just give back to the game that's given so much to me more than anything, I think was a big factor. And then obviously personally to be able to get my doctorate is a huge achievement. I still got several years to go on that, but we're started the process.
right.
And then also being able to coach. My goal is to be an NFL coach one day.
Is it right?
That'd be my ultimate dream. So
Yeah,
kind of get my feet wet right now with being a coordinator and figure out what it's like to call plays and have to put it all together while not being out there executing it myself. So it's been a cool challenge.
Well, yeah. What's that been like? Like when you're on the sideline now, and does that feel a lot? Is it a huge difference? Is there a level of frustration, like, or is it are you getting a lot of enjoyment out of it? Like, what's it like being a coach when you're also so capable as a quarterback right now, right? Like you could step on the field and start, right? It's
yeah. I mean, I'm coming off an MCL injury, so I'm a little bit banged up from the last game. So I wouldn't be able to play right now, regardless. But anyways, we got a great quarterback here in Ethan, and
he's awesome.
helping develop him even more. I think he's last night's practice was a really good practice by him, and just seeing the continual development and maturity and him taking strides. That's a lot of fun. Trying to get everybody to see football maybe on my level or through my eyes right away is can be challenging. Sometimes I forget, hey, gotta slow it down and start with the basics. I'll say something, like the apex defender, and I just assume everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I'm like, okay, let me slow down. Or I'm realizing I'm telling a receiver to push crack. He didn't really understand what that means. So I got to really it forces you when you're teaching something to really reevaluate how well you know it and then how well can you teach it. So I think it's helping me more than anything.
Yeah, it's a good point. So I actually, in my professional career, I work in learning and development, right? So I train like salespeople for an IT company, and I've done this for years, and there's a number of sort of like sayings and stuff within this world, but one of them is like, if you can't explain something in simple terms, you don't know it well enough, right?
Yeah.
But it's not until you're put into a situation where you have to explain something that you're like, oh my god, yeah, like I've just taken for granted that I know what that means, and I've never had to break it down before. And I'm a parent of 3 young boys. Nice. And sometimes they'll come up to me, like one of them will come up to me like, Dad, what does this word mean? And I'm like, I have no idea how to explain that word. Right? Like I know the word, I can use it in a sentence, but I've now got to describe it without saying it, right? And I imagine it's the same thing when you're coaching. It's like, you know, to you it's this like simple thing, second nature. It's you know, almost obvious, and but you don't know until you get asked the question, do you? Or you see someone not understanding something, like how do I build this up and make it click for them? So
No
yeah,
doubt, no doubt. And then coaching the O line guys too. It's like I've spent my whole career throwing the ball around and really worried about the passing game. I understand the stuff in the box, but not on the
yeah,
same level as, you know, certain guys. That we got a left guard that played at Oklahoma. So I mean, I'm trying to tell this guy how to block a guy to some degree, and I'm like, what am I really doing? I got to reevaluate this, son. So
yeah. But well, does that do you feel there's like a little bit of imposter syndrome there for you? Like you're a bit, you know, you feel like, what can I tell this guy, sort of thing? Is that
no,
what goes through your
I
mind?
don't believe in that imposter syndrome thing. I hear a lot of people talk about that. I don't believe in that. I think the chicken and the egg, right? Confidence and accomplishments kind of are the same thing, right? The more confidence you have, the more you're going to be able to accomplish, but the more you've accomplished, the more confidence you're going to have. So how do you really get out of this cycle we're in? Well, which one comes first? Well, I think the solution to that is competence.
Yep.
If you're able to go and learn as much as you can about a topic, you might not know everything, but go learn what you can with the resources you do have, work really hard at it. That'll lead to minor accomplishments. Those
Mm,
little minor accomplishments will lead, you know, to real some confidence, and then that's going to lead to major accomplishments. So
yeah.
that's the way out of that cycle. I don't believe in the imposter syndrome. I don't believe in the second guessing yourself thing.
Yep.
I believe in putting my head down and working. So anytime I've encountered not being able to answer a question that a guy has, it's not I'm gonna bluff and pretend to give you an answer or feel bad that I don't know
Mm,
the answer. It's, hey, give me a day or two and I'll come back to you with an answer and I'll figure that out. So, and I
yeah.
might not be right, but I'll do my best of my ability. So that's sort of how I go about dealing with new situations. I just try to learn as much as I possibly can and then provide the value that I can.
Yeah. No, and I actually I'm with you on the I don't believe in imposter syndrome thing. Uh, I always think like, well, if not me, then who? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like you know, and I always like when I coach people at work but in their jobs, I always say to them like, how many times you've been in a job where you think there's someone you work with, you think, how the hell did you get to this place? Like, what, you know, you're so incompetent, you don't care, and there you are as someone that does care and is competent, and you're the one that questions yourself, like it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, and
Yeah.
I agree with you, but I there are a lot of people, and I do come across it a lot, which is why I said it. Like, there are a lot of people who do have this imposter syndrome, that they sort of feel like you know, I'm I don't know, like this role, this ask is too big for me. But yeah, like you should have confidence.
Maybe they're just nervous because they haven't put the work in. That's what I would
It
say.
could
Like, go
be,
put in some
yeah.
work.
Or you know, they or yeah, haven't put the work in, haven't been there before. You know, don't have the experience of it, so it's breaking new ground for them. So they're sort of like they're treacherous with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely with you. Like I'm sort of like I got it up there. Like I can, you know, I tell myself that I can do it. I genuinely believe I can do anything I can set my mind to. Right. Uh,
We all can. We all can. We're all
yeah,
capable. Just put
exactly.
in the work,
Like it's yeah.
stay positive, and push through when things get tough.
But I
It's
think you'll find that, and as I do in my in my work role, that we're in the minority in that thinking, and there'll be a lot of people that you come across that you will have to sort of address that with and coach, you know, coach that element of where they're just, you know, their confidence is low because they're like the like I say, the ask is too big, or the worst one is for like a, you know, a performance or a skill based player that isn't quite doing what they need to do, dropping catches, you know, not fumbling the ball, whatever, right? And then you've got to sort of step in and nurture that and sort of rebuild them back up, right? But I know that one thing I see in British American football, and I don't know if you've come across it, but I find that British coaches, they try to mimic and recreate what they've seen, what that they see American um, colleges, or usually it's like movies or whatever, where the coach is this like hard ass shouting, screaming, you know, that like almost like a drill sergeant, and I don't feel like that translates very well culturally to the UK, but I see a lot of America, a lot of British coaches trying to replicate that rather than work with what should work, right? Like connecting with the person, breaking it down, as you've said. But I don't know that there's ever going to be a way or a route away from that. I think it's just something that's always going to exist. In that we try to replicate what we see in America, and well, even you must have come across it, Jay. The people mimic American accents. Have you come across that yet?
I haven't noticed it, man. That's funny though. Next time I hear it, I'll think of you.
Oh man, it's usually on game day when someone's shouting at someone on the field. The American accent comes out, and you're like, "What are you doing, man? Like, you're speaking."
Okay, that's funny stuff. I like it.
It. So you said that you want to go. You are like your career in football. You want it to extend into the NFL for coaching. I also noticed that you did some media stuff for DAZN. I think it was last year. Is that an area that you're interested in as well? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a really cool opportunity. Got to do some coverage of. I did like a fall tour last year back in the States every week, a different city, different game. Had an opportunity to do some sideline stuff, go into the locker rooms, do a bunch of different things. So that was a lot of fun. Got to reunite with a couple former my college teammates and stuff along the way too. So that was really cool. And then I also got to work the Super Bowl, which was really special. Getting to see the Eagles win that one pretty handedly. That was a really cool experience. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think media is something that is a necessary part of the game. We got to market it. We got to grow it. Fans got interest, give them something to talk about. I don't know if that's necessarily, sometimes you do something and you enjoy it and maybe you're good at it, but it's not necessarily your cup of tea, to use a British slang, because I kind of copying your guys' lingo. For me, there's no competitive nature. Like you get done with something like that at the end of the day, and it's like, well, did I win or did I lose? And it's like a normal job at that point where you just get patted on the back and told good job. And I'm like, no, I want to win or I want to lose. I want to distinct black and white. I want to be a winner,
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the hardest part about being involved with media. If that was the only thing I were to do long term, I think I would not be able to scratch that itch of wanting to compete. I mean, to take it back to 2 weeks ago, obviously we lost versus Nottingham, and that's going to happen, right? Like, there's going to be times where you lose, but I'd rather lose and have a loss in my face and know exactly where we're at and what we can do to improve it and get better from it than to just go through life of just getting by. That's not me. I'm just such a motivated by competition person that I need that in my life.
Yeah. So and I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't want to bring up the loss or any performance stuff, but how did you react to that as an OC? Like, what is your without releasing any secrets? I'm not trying to dig into stuff, but how do you react to that? How do you address the players after it? Like, what was your approach?
Well, first and foremost, you got to look yourself in the mirror as a coach, right? The first thing I told him is, hey, look, there's probably 7 to 10 calls that I'd like to take back personally. There's mistakes that I made, and I want to, each and every one of you to do the same thing. We take a look in the mirror and figure out, did you give enough effort? Did you study hard enough? Did you lift weights enough? Whatever it is, if we all just fix that 10% of the game and we come back next time, we'll be a whole lot better outfit. And then I got to give our hats off to Nottingham. First of all, we drove the field for what we thought was going to be the game-winning touchdown. They answered with their own. They've got good football players. They've got good coaches. They were able to go out and beat us, So that's what we want, right? We don't want a dominant league where there's no competition. We want it to be more competitive. We want the game to grow all around. Hopefully next time we play those guys, it's a different result, but that's football. You're not going to win every single game. And it's probably a little bit of a wake-up call for our guys too, that, this isn't the last 4 years anymore. This is this season. This is this game. We've got to go out and earn it. No one's going to give anything to us just because we got a B on our helmet,
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good to hear. And to your point about, it being a competitive league, you're right. From my perspective, we cover the entire sport, right? I work with different clubs, but I try to remain neutral, right? in terms of like coverage. I certainly want certain teams to win, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love the sport, right?
At least you
But,
admit your bias. Everybody's got bias. I like
yeah, I do have bias. I do, but I try to sort of stifle it when it comes to coverage, because I'm trying to present, like a parity and equal coverage of the sport. But yeah, like I certainly have got teams that I back, but it absolutely is right for the sport and the growth of the sport to have as much competition as possible. Like when we do our live streams, I don't want to live stream a game that's 70-60 nil, because after the first sort of 3 touchdowns, no one cares. Like it doesn't matter anymore. Like no one wants to watch the game. It's not a fixture that there's no excitement to it. It's even like when we're doing commentary, it's even hard to commentate and get excited for the the 9th touchdown going in. You're like, oh, yeah. But when it's touchdowns either way, chains of possessions make a difference, turnovers make a difference. Those are the games that are awesome. We have live streamed a couple of them, and yeah, I'm hoping that the future of the National Prem is that we see more of that every week, right? Because I know that that's sort of their plan. But what are your views on the university leagues in general in the UK? Like now that you've sort of been part of it for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the better coaching, the better facilities, the better atmosphere that we can give these young athletes, the better level of play there's going to be. I know that Nottingham, the Bullets, and Durham have sort of been at the forefront of pushing that to the next level. Loughborough's, an unbelievable sports university, so they've got potential. Leeds has history in the sport, so the 4 teams that are in the league all bring something to the table, and hopefully we can keep developing that for everybody involved. The path that I want for it is, the highest possible level of football, very competitive, give people opportunities to develop as people as well. Like we're coaching kids that are, at that time of your life where you're still developing and figuring out who you are, and are you going to be a disciplined person? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So hopefully we're able to actually shape them, not just on the football field, but also as a person. I know for my life, going and playing college football is, I'll never forget those mornings I had to get up at 6 a.m. and then balance a schedule and then go to practice and this and that. Like it's a lot. And by going through that fire, it turns you into something different on the other side. We've got guys like one of our backup running backs, he travels a long distance. He goes in, I don't know, he works at like Burger King or McDonald's, one of those, and then he's coming to school and then he's going to practice. And I empathize and sympathize with, his plight, that it's tough, but at the same time, I pull him to the side and I go, hey man, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The fact that you're going through this and you see that you're able to make it happen, like that should give you some resolve for in the future when bad stuff happens in your life, that you can push through anything. And so that's what I'm really passionate about, is helping grow these kids. It's not just football, truly, to me.
Yeah. No, it's really nice to hear. And just going back to your move from the States over to Europe, how did that happen? Talk to us about the story of you going into the German league initially, or wanting to come and play it, over in this continent. How did that happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, that was back before the ELF existed. I was playing in the German football league and told my family I was going to go play in Germany. They're like, "What are you talking about, man? Like, what, are they paying you in beer and pretzels? Like, what's going on? How does this work?" And I honestly just intended on playing one season. Wanted to just have fun. When I was little, when people asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to play pro football and travel the world. Who know that I'd have an opportunity to do both at the same time?
Wow.
And came over just to play one season. Really fell in love with Germany, Europe, traveling, getting to experience something new and different, and really had fun playing the game with all the guys. It felt like high school football again, in the way that it wasn't so, I don't want to say corrupted, but college football and pro football can have this feel of like, what can I get out of this? And to me, that's the opposite approach to how you should play football. Football is the ultimate team sport. What can you give to the team? What can you do to be a part of making something bigger than yourself and accomplish a common goal outside of your own personal goals? That's what's always drawn me to the sport. So just being back in an environment like that was really special. And then had an opportunity to progress and play for some other teams on maybe a little bit of better contract, a little bit more professionalized as things have gone on over the years. And yeah, I still try to have that mindset though of like, this is semi-pro football in my mind, right? Like this is, don't look at it. It's not the NFL, right? We're not making millions. We're out here to try and have fun, play football, experience something cool, travel the world, and make friends. So it's a really cool opportunity.
And how did you hear about the opportunity? How did you hear about the leagues? Like, how did this come up? You know, the whole German league, for example, when you first started looking into it. Where did you hear about that?
Man, the first team to ever reach out to me was the Munich Cowboys.
Yeah,
and I sounded funny, right? I'm like, what are these, like the fake Cowboys? And they had an American coach. He was young and just reached out to me, and we started talking a little bit, and then started doing what little research I could back then. And then just one thing developed into another. Ended up deciding to go play for the Wildcats was my first team, and that was mainly because of the head coach. He was a former NFL Europe guy, pretty successful German businessman, and I felt the connection to him and trusted in him. When I actually landed in Munich, and then we drove for another like hour. I'm like, are we there yet? What the hell's going on? You told me where I was going to be in Munich. And we weren't. We were in a small little village outside of there, but it was cool, man. And like I said, just that. And then I remember our first trip, I was kind of the typical ignorant American who hadn't traveled much. We were trying to figure out where we were going to go on our first bye week, and one of our other American buddies on the team was like, we got to go to Rome. Like, that's where it all started. That's where the history's at. Let's go there. So went to Rome and was just like, man, we're really at the Coliseum. Like, this isn't the USC Coliseum. This is the real Coliseum. And so just doing all those little things was fun. Experiencing all the craziness. My first German old lady neighbor was kind of a grumpy German, the stereotype. We weren't recycling. We were being the dumb.
They're so strict on. You get like 5 different bins there, haven't you? Like, it's crazy.
Crazy. We come outside our door, and she's like ripped open our trash on our front door, put it all, separated it for us to teach us, and we're just some of that stuff though. Like, as angry as it makes you in the moment, or like, what the hell's going on? Like, it's kind of cool because it's just like, we don't recycle where I'm from. Like, we're idiots, So like, coming over here and learning that there's a different way of life is fun, and a lot of cool experiences along the way.
Yeah, it's awesome. So obviously you've already signed up for another playing season.
Yeah.
What have you got an idea in your head of how many more years you're going to play? I know obviously you're starting to go into coaching now a little bit.
Maybe like 10 more, right? I'm not leaving now.
Good. Yeah. Is that the idea? Just play as long as you can. Just enjoy it for as long as you can.
The setup I've got now is great, man. I live in the best city in the world, Copenhagen. Just got voted most livable city. Just overtook Vienna. Live right next to the water. Able to go swimming. Able to ride my bike around. It's amazing. Scandinavia is the place. If you've never been, you got to go check it out. So playing there.
I used to play in Europe as well.
It's great. I play for Coach John Shoup, who unbelievable head coach, unbelievable offensive coordinator and play caller. Got a great relationship with him. He was with me at Rhein Fire, and he was at Hamburg before that. So known him for quite a while, and really enjoy being around him. He's such a positive guy, but as professional as they come, and knows more football than anyone. And so I really like that. Got a good group of guys there. So, man, I'm really, really happy where I'm at right now, and kind of my whole career has brought me to this point. So I don't know. Football's weird, right? Every time you step out there, it could be your last game. Anything could happen. Yeah. But I'm really, really happy, and I want to play for a couple more years at least. So, that's sort of my plans.
Yeah, cool. So you're not going anywhere for at least a couple of years. Oh, actually, the whole ELF, EFA thing. Are you okay to talk about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, there will be professional football. I don't know how everything will shape out next year between the two. I guess ELF is a league. The EFA is more like an association right now, threatening to make their own league. But I don't know what will end up happening. I do know that there will be a league. Everything. Yeah. It's just posture and negotiation. If I were to sum it up quickly.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think we're definitely going to have that some form of league next season, and it's just sort of everyone's just sort of waiting for everything to be worked out, right? Like, and then people will play and people will watch and carry on, right? But one thing I've noticed just over years of being involved in football in the UK and in Europe is it seems there always seems to be like little arguments and bickering when you get to that European level, and it never sort of goes away. There's always some sort of like someone upset with something, but obviously it boiled over to a degree with the ELF, and now the EFA exists. But I'm always someone that I sort of just watch from afar and just sort of think, oh, they'll sort it out because they always do, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's nothing new. This stuff
Yeah.
happens a lot. More well, obviously in the domestic leagues as well. But
it's hard to balance that many different teams and countries and cultures and what's best for everybody, what's best for who owns the league, who's running each organization. How do you balance the schedule? I mean, I don't want that guy's job. Whoever's in charge of running a European league, it's tough to keep everybody happy. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they just got to try and keep everyone happy, and it's a tough job, but it's also a thankless job. Like you do a good job, and everyone's like, "Well, you're supposed to, right?"
It's like being a holder in football. That's why I hated when I was the backup quarterback and had to hold. Nobody ever says like, "Wow, what a hold!" It's just like, "Wow, that buzzer cost us the game," So yeah,
yes,
it's a thing.
The holder. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Just a quick message to you guys watching. If you've got any questions for Jay, just drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them. So with in terms of like European football, is there anything that you'd like to see as like a change to move it forward and to get it to the next level at that European level that you're involved
in? In the uni level, or what did you mean by that?
No. Well, I was going to ask uni next. I just wanted to start with just
Sure.
the European, like the EFA or the ELF, whatever. Like, what do you think is like a next progression for that? Like, what would you like to see brought in or to happen at that level for it to make the next step?
I think ultimately for football to ever reach the next level, it would be for the entire roster to truly be like 12-month salaried position. Well, how do you get there? You got to have more revenue. So ultimately, the only way we'll ever get there is if we get more people into the stands. So I think each team that's involved in professional football needs to seriously hone in and hire maybe people on a commission basis that their one job is to fill up the stands with people, whether that be free complimentary tickets or paid tickets. The more people at the games, the more attractive you are to sponsors and advertisers, the more merch you can sell, the more food and beverage you can sell. And then ultimately it's a better experience for everyone. The more people that are at the game, players, other people that paid to be there, and ultimately that converts people into paid ticket sales down the line. So I think every single team in Europe does a pretty good job in the ELF of developing football players. I do think the biggest thing that they were lacking on a lot of the teams was somebody that knows what they're doing from a marketing standpoint and be able to get people to the game. Because ultimately we're in the entertainment business, right? Like, why is the NFL so successful? Well, they've got crazy amount of TV revenue and every game sold out. So those are the things that we got to focus if we want to progress things forward to then be able to pay players. Right now, the guys are making pretty good money in the league, but like all 50 guys on the team making legit money is a very tall task. So we got to professionalize it through getting more people to the games, ultimately, more fans.
Yeah, great answer. Thanks. And Uniball, what same question. What do you want to see, or what do you feel would excel things to the next level in Uniball?
Yeah, I think coaching, continually getting better and better. When you're dealing with, Uniball, it's more about the developmental stage for a lot of guys than it is the end stage. So I think teaching fundamentals, having, set systems and structures. Coach Dan, obviously he's a love him or hate him type of guy in the UK. Obviously, I love him being a part of the UE Bullets, but
I know the feeling, man.
Right?
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think he has been the pioneer of taking football in the UK to the farthest possible level. And I think he, like myself, what makes him so special is that we're optimizers. Every time I turn around, he's doing something to try to push and increase and optimize every aspect of the program, whether that be how we practice. Do we have nutrition? When do we meet? What's the gym situation like? Cameras, uniforms, every possible aspect he's trying to constantly just get a little bit better at. And that's kind of the key to life. If I think more people were doing that and just constantly trying to push each of their programs a little bit further every single day, you'd wake up 5 years from now and the uni ball system could be on a whole different level. But Rome wasn't built in a day, right? I'm giving you a pretty generic answer, but it takes the want to. How motivated and do you have somebody dedicated to it? So Dan is that guy, and it's awesome seeing the program develop since I first came here in 2019 and they built Hillside Gardens where we play our games at. So coming 2 years ago and playing to now coming back and going, wow, field's better. We got a scoreboard that's about to be put up. We've got, our gym is brand new. Like, those things matter, and just get some of these kids maybe take that stuff for granted because to them this is their first year part of the program and that's just all normal for them. But that's how it should be. Each new class should come in and it should be a little bit better and better and better. And then you look up and it's like, wow, we've come a long ways in 5 years.
Yeah, and I do you know what I'd say? That is the current state of British American football in general, but particularly Uniball. It has constantly improved year on year. And I would say that the best university team has been the Bullets for the last few years. Is probably likely to beat the best adult British American football team. Now I know that's contentious and that might set people off in the chat, but I genuinely believe it. I've seen both both of these guys play in the flesh, and I think that there's something that exists in Uniball that can't exist in the adult leagues, and that is the amount of time and commitment that people can put into it. Yes, you do get committed players in the adult leagues, but they don't live together, they don't study together, they don't exist out, socialize all the time together outside. Like in Uniball, even in a Division 2 team, they'll have constant like socials, and it like there's a load of stuff with Movember at the moment. Every team seems to be pulling together, fundraising together. You don't get that in the adult leagues, or you might, but it's like little bits and pieces. But it's almost like formulaic at university level. There's a lot more of this structure, of this number of hours put in. The commitment level is just so much higher, and I think that's why year on year we're seeing so many improvements in that league. One thing I was going to ask you actually, Jay, was do you have you found that you've committed more or less hours to your craft as a coach to as a player? What's the
way more? It's like endless.
Really?
Yeah, it's like endless as a coach. You like sit there and you game plan and you overthink it and you analyze the film, because I mean, as a player, ultimately, like I'm tasked to lead the team, but really do my job more than anything. And now I've got to analyze every aspect of every player and really put together. It gives me newfound respect for some coaches that I've played for, and then developing relationships and trying to cultivate and get the best out of each of your guys, meeting with, the coaches, other coaches. And it's a lot to be a coach, man. It's cool though, but yeah, it's way more than I realized. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, well, and I was sort of hoping that you said that, but I didn't know. But it's actually something that when I've been around programs, like I lived in the States for a bit, so they were like I was close to the high school program there, and but also when I just watch like documentaries, like Last Chance U or whatever else, the Hard Knocks or anything, it actually puts me off of wanting to be a coach because of the number of hours they're putting in, and it's like day and night, and you see them on their phones to their wives, and they're always getting henpecked told off, and it seems that there's a ridiculous number of hours going into it. So I'm sort of glad that you sort of reflected that and you're sort of experiencing it. Someone's said in the chat the best description of a coach is a father type figure. What would you say is the best description of a coach, Jay?
Definitely, like the best coaches I've had have been that for me. It's really a little hard for me to be a father figure to guys 5 years, 10 years younger than me. I know I'm old now, but I'm not that old. Jeez. But I agree. I would say I'm more in like that big brother role, or maybe an uncle to some of the guys, and try to just have fun with them and make it a cool experience, while at the same time trying to develop them as players, as athletes, and as people, as I said. So, yeah, it's fun seeing, especially some of the younger guys. And we got a kid named Simon, who young British guy. I think he's like 18 years old. Just got back from, was in Canada for a bit and stuff. And he's just so, man, he's like a kid to me. It's funny, like the way he runs around and he's all excited about things. So it's cool to try and work with those guys for sure.
And just for you personally, who are some of the either players, coaches, just people across your entire career that have helped, like that you feel have helped sort of shape you and get you to where you are? Like, is there anyone new, that sort of springs to mind when I say that? Like when you sort of cast your mind back as to influential individuals?
Tons. Yeah, it's hard. You rattled off all the places I've played. I think coaches wise, going all the way back to high school, or even like from my first coaches, Coach Sinclair was one of my coaches, Nathaniel Sinclair. His big thing was get yours. So whatever you're doing, you got to go get it. Whenever you wake up, you're never the same as the day as the day before. You either get better or you get worse. You don't stay the same. So go out there and get yours. When we're running, hills and sprints, get yours. It's time to work. When you're going to class, go get yours. You gotta get your grade, man. No one's gonna give you anything. So learning that personal responsibility for him at a young age was big. Work ethic from different coaches along the way. My college coach, Jay Hill, was kind of the confidence guy that taught me the confidence thing we talked about earlier. Tom Sula, my Ryan Fire head coach, and he was with the 49ers as a head coach there. His motto was focus and finish. Easy to say, hard to do. We oftentimes get going in things and we lose our focus. We get distracted. The human nature is to revert back to being average. It's hard to stay focused on doing something great and then finish the job. You get 80% way through and we stop all the time, or we let off the gas a little bit, or we think we've arrived. Like, you got to stay focused and finish nonstop. And he used to say, it's not a motto, it's a lifestyle. So those are big things. And then I think the thing I've learned from Coach Shoop, my most recent coach, the last thing I have for you, is just a way to do the game in a positive, fun way, and really while doing it in a professional way. Like, you said earlier, some coaches maybe think that they need to be in that dictator role. I think there's a time and place for that, right? Like, people must respect you, but they're going to respect you first and foremost by knowing that you care about them as people, knowing that you know what you're talking about, and that you're trying to help them grow as peoples and players. But at the same time, if a guy's not giving effort, if a guy's got a bad attitude, there's not a lot to be said at that point. I got no problem with a guy yelling or cussing somebody out at that point. Like, if you're going to jog a route or not go hard, I can't scheme that up. I can't do anything. Like, you got to bring that. So, or we got to yell and find a way to motivate you. So, yeah, I think that's the time to be a dictator. That's the time to be dictator's too strong a word. That's the time to be that drill sergeant, as you said.
Yeah, I know what you meant, but no, absolutely. And so, what about some those? By the way, some really good. Like, you could be a motivational speaker with some of that stuff. That was some awesome pieces to share. Thanks. What about some of the players you play with? Like, are there any, for any reason, standout players, characters that you play with that you sort of? I'm sure there's been tons.
So many. Taron Johnson. He's a corner for the Bills, signed a big contract there. I played in college with him. He was supposed to be a receiver, and he's like, man, I'm a 5'11" guy. I'll make it to the league if I switch to DB. I'm like, dude, stay at receiver. I like throwing. So I lost to him. He had a crazy work ethic though. He would be stretching, doing push-ups, doing sit-ups when everybody else was hanging out in college. Hanging out, sitting on the couch, watching video games or playing video games or watching TV. He would be nonstop working, and it's like, it pays off. Guy signed for like $50 million, makes sense. Who else that's really stood out? I think a guy. There's a guy, Marlon Franklin, that I play with now, and I play with that Hamburg and Ryan Fire. What I've learned from Marlo is delusional confidence. That guy believes in himself more than anyone I've ever believed. And I think that can be actually a really positive thing. Like, going back to the imposter syndrome, I don't think Marlo's ever felt that a day in his life. Like, everywhere he walks, he feels like he's the man. And that can maybe be off-putting to some people, but I don't think he does it in a way where he thinks he's better than others. That's like arrogance or like bullshit, but like he just believes in himself fully. And I think that's another, really important thing. I talk to the guys on the team here about that. Like, truly the only person you should ever evaluate or compare yourself to is who you were yesterday. What are you doing to get better? If you're comparing yourself to someone better than you, you're going to probably feel bad about yourselves. If you're comparing to somebody worse than you, you're probably going to start to have an inflated ego,
and
right?
start to dip, right? Like, your target's too low. Like you're gonna get complacent. You're gonna be able to skip things. But I think it's a really good mindset.
Yeah. Do I have any other funny guys for you?
Everyone wants to hear the funny ones. But is there any funny guys that would just did funny stuff all the time that stick out?
Played with a guy named Jared in college, big linebacker, like 6'4", 250 pounds, like the stereotypical just big caveman looking guy. And Jared would talk about himself in the third person. So he'd always say, Jared wants to do this, Jared does that, Jared doesn't play special teams, stuff like that. It was just hilarious. He'd like never flown on a plane or something, so he'd always freak out with turbulence. But the funniest story of all time with him was when we went and played at Montana in college. He had forgotten his helmet, and we're like, going through warm-ups and stuff, and he doesn't have a helmet on. Everyone's like, where's your helmet? He's like, oh, in the locker room. So we're thinking like in the locker room, okay, whatever. And then we like go out to take the field, and we're like, Jared, where's your helmet? He's like, I told you it's in the locker room, like back at Weber. And we're like, dude, that's like 8 hours away. You don't have a helmet? So the coach is like, he's our starting middle linebacker. So the coach is like scrambling to find another helmet. He hadn't even told the
coach, just
not a concern or anything. We're like about to go out and play. And so they take a helmet off one of the guys on the sideline that doesn't play much. And the guy's like, I guess you can borrow it, Jared. He's like, just don't use my mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And Jared's like, I don't mind, and just throws the other guy's mouthpiece in. So that's still one of I'll never forget that. And me and all my buddies are just like, this is the craziest dude I've ever met. But it was absolute baller. He could hit people hard. So that was good.
Awesome. Well, and so I suppose I know I've been asking a lot of questions, but I also said, I also want you to talk about stuff. The whole point of this show is the hype. Is there anything that you want to is there any subject you want to like talk about, or anything you want to draw attention to?
How about those Indianapolis Colts, man? They're the story of the year this year. I think there's a lot to be learned from that. Jonathan Taylor, the least flashy running back in the league, but absolute baller, big, fast, strong, has unbelievable cuts, got a great offensive line, great play caller. And then I think the coolest part about the whole story for me is seeing Daniel Jones go from being this, guy that everybody gave up on, that everybody blamed, and getting a second chance to redeem himself. And I think there's a lot to be learned from this team. Now, maybe they don't go all the way, but they've obviously accomplished a lot so far. And I think the redemption, second chances, maybe don't evaluate quarterbacks too hard if things aren't going well, or give them too much credit if things are going right. So it's a team sport more than anything. So I think seeing what they've been able to accomplish playing together as a team is really, really special. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that. College football as well, Indiana. I think it's fun to see. Funny, both teams from Indiana.
I was going to say, are they teams you support, or they're just?
I'm from Tampa originally, so the Bucks are my team, but I technically was born in Indianapolis, so I can for this part of the interview I can claim both of them. My mom went to Purdue though, so Indiana's rival, so that doesn't work. But no, Indiana. I think the cool thing about them is they've kind of flipped the whole NIL collective bargaining thing, and they've found a way to get a good coach and get guys bought in while spending some money, and that's kind of fun. Just mixing up college football to see other people get a chance, and I think it's just two really cool stories of teams that seem to be doing it right and building from the ground up, and maybe that can inspire some of these UK programs, whether that be Uniball or the BAFA, to keep growing. I think the Bristol Aztecs winning it last year. Obviously, I'm biased to Bristol a little bit, although I live with Glenn Tunga, big London guy. And,
Oh, yeah, I played against Glenn when he was at the Blitz. So yeah, I've known of Glenn for a long time, and obviously followed his career, man. So like, he's a great guy, and what he's achieved is just ridiculous, man. Like, very proud of him.
Yeah,
but
it's cool what a little bit of discipline and hard work can accomplish, and that guy's got this for sure.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. But yeah, on that, so with this announcement of this ELF team in London, that's it. I'm not even gonna ask a question. What do you think of it? What like?
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. UK deserves a pro team, man. I think having that goal will help immediately increase participancy, effort, motivation for guys in Uniball and in the BAFA League.
Exactly what I've said. It creates a proper pathway on British soil, right? Like, and we've never had that. Yes, there was the London Monarchs and the Scottish Claymores.
No, that's something different. That was bringing in a bunch of Americans.
Exactly. This is like, and I know the London guys. They're trying to they want to have as many British guys as possible, and I don't know. You know, we don't know how that's going to end up. You know, like coaching staff and all that. But I'm really excited by it. But is that it? I'd like to think that players like Emmanuel Falola and Glenn and you know, I don't know, Keanu
Keanu Ebanks,
will be like, oh yeah, I can go back home and play. And obviously I've not spoken to any of those guys, but I'd like to think that like there becomes a sense of like that becomes like a national team, right? Like, you know, like a GB type team, but with obviously we won't have just pure Brits in it, right? We're not good enough. But yeah, I love the idea of like that being enticing and bringing and maybe keeping some British talent on the British Isles, but also maybe drawing some back that have gone elsewhere. I don't know, you know, I don't know how the contracts work or how likely that is. But in my mind, like when it was all announced, there's like you know, fantasized about this would just be amazing. Like, I'm definitely going to be a season ticket holder. I'm definitely going to catch all their games. Like, I'm really excited by it. And I think I also feel like we may see a draw to it from the US with the whole sharing of the common language, right? You know, when you're faced with maybe going to Germany, Madrid, or whatever, or could you go somewhere that they still, you know, they speak English, and the cultures are sort of aligned. I mean, there are a lot of differences, as you well know. But I'd like to think that there's like almost like a unique selling point that we've got in the UK to hopefully draw some of that US talent that at European level to that team as well.
I agree with everything you said, Steve. Really well put. I think there will be a lot of guys drawn to coming back. Hopefully not Glenn, my roommate, and my running.
You can come too. We'll find you a spot on a team. It's fine.
There we go. There we go. Maybe if you clean the Thames up for me, man. I enjoy swimming in the harbor.
No, there's no cleaning the Thames up,
from
man.
Florida, that's a big.
Not even COVID cleaned the Thames up. That's how bad the Thames is, man. Like all the other water. Like, I'm from Portsmouth down the south coast. That cleaned up. Like the water went like see-through again, and now it's all murky again. But like, yeah, the Thames just stayed green or whatever color it is, a greeny brown. So yeah, I can't help you there.
But yeah, I'm with you though, man. I think getting all the British guys back, and that's kind of the vision of the ELF when I first joined. That's what they said they wanted to be about, which was kind of like having each team be a national team, and then, you know, supplement that with a couple Americans and a couple other top Europeans from around the league. And I think it will be that. I mean, it'll be a lot of British coaches, I assume, and there'll be some Americans that come in, and I think that's good. You want the highest possible talent, both on the field and coaching, but it's a chance for everything to grow. You know, rising tides bring all the ships up. You know, we're not in a race to the bottom. We're trying to help each other. We're compete hard on the field, but ultimately, the name of the game is to grow the sport everywhere in Europe. So I think if some people can maybe put their ego to the side and you know, it is what it is, right? Like there's certain people that want to make football about themselves.
You've hit the nail on the head. Everywhere. Like it's, I've always said since I've been involved in, so I started playing football in the States in '94, right? And then moved back because my dad was in the Navy, so we moved and then moved back. And then I started playing again in 2006 in the UK. So I've been quite, close to the game for a number of years in this country. And the two biggest things holding it back, one is ego and the other one is money.
Yep.
And what I mean by money, it's the money people who are trying to take money out of the sport all the time, finding a way of lining their pockets at a small scale, like, oh, I don't know, stifling the growth of something because they then get to pay their mortgage off for a couple of months. Like, it's just really bad examples of how people have like just stopped the growth because they're not thinking bigger picture. They're thinking, what can I do for me? And again, it's that insular thing. So really great to hear, Jay, like your view on it and how you see growth. I'd like to think that we sort of align a little bit on that stuff, and I think it will take more and more people sort of coming around to that and being able to zoom out and not think, oh, it's I want I don't know, aligning things so that their team have got the nicest schedule or the most, I don't know, the lion's share of whatever spend. It's about figuring out what works and then sharing that with everyone else. And hopefully that's what we're going to see with this new Bristol. We've actually got Elliot on next week, who's going to be talking about this new investment in the Aztecs. Yeah. So, and I love talking to Elliot. He's a very well accomplished player, played for Boise, and but yeah, it's gonna. I'm really. I mean, I'll probably sort of push him quite a bit on some of this stuff because I think in British American football we've heard it all before. There's a cynicism, and I hate to admit it, but there is, right? There's people that have sort of come and gone and sort of like said like, oh, we're going to do this and that and all this stuff, and you sort of like, yeah, that's great, we'll buy into it, and then it just falls on its face, or someone scams someone and they're done. I don't think that's the case with this, but I also want to know, I think they need to understand that there needs to be a higher level of transparency and almost over communication to win over hearts and minds. Obviously there needs to be results and things actually changing, but I think that we've been scorned in this country, in this community for so long, with so many people, and it's sort of like, yeah, I don't like admitting that I'm a skeptic. I'm not necessarily a skeptic of that of these guys, Coach Pete, Elliot, Leiden, these are all good guys with a high level of integrity. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting them on and just sort of like poking around a little bit and saying, now let's more convince us about this thing. But ideally,
I think he'll do a good job. He's convinced me. Good. I believe in everything that they're doing with the Aztecs, and not just so that they can dominate the league from here on out. I think it's to grow the game everywhere. So, yeah, I'm as competitive as anyone, and I want to win. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's more fun if everybody is on a level playing field and we can push that forward and then compete that way. So that's the first step. Let's get everything professionalized. Let's get everything pushed forward, and then let's compete tooth and nail. But up until that point, let's help each other
out. Do you know what, Jadrian? So in my professional career, I started my work at Portsmouth Football Club. I was a commercial trainee there, right? And I'm from Portsmouth, love Portsmouth, like really like massive fan, and it was like the ideal job. And I went back there, so I left and then went back there when they got in the Premier League. So I was like part of this, club, the first one in the Premier League, and it was like amazing. And what really struck me was the amount of help that the clubs give to each other behind the scenes. You don't see it, right? Like, but like our biggest rivals were Southampton, and they still are. Like this, and I grew up in Portsmouth, and the cities hate each other, right? It's not just football. I played schools rugby. It was just everything. We always wanted to beat them. They always want to beat us. We don't like each other. And then like at Portsmouth Football Club, we're like sharing ideas and talking about how we run press conferences or serve food or what, I don't know, the policing on a match day, because the clubs share everything, because while you'll compete on the pitch, you're not competing for fans. It's not like and it doesn't have to be Portsmouth, Southampton. It could be Chelsea. Chelsea aren't going to speak to a Portsmouth fan and say, oh, why didn't you become a Chelsea fan? And they go, that's a great idea, I'm going to do that, right? And and that's the difference when you're looking at a sporting, you know, a league or a club or anything, is that you should all be working together and all, you know, sort of moving the boat, which is obviously the league or the sport, in the same direction, because the only people that are going to benefit from that is everyone, right? And I think that mentality doesn't really, well, it is starting to evolve and starting to exist a bit more in British American football, but historically it hasn't been. It's always been like, oh, we hate them and this person signed for them and we didn't like them. And I think those ego things are starting to be quashed a little bit as people start to see that there is another way of doing it. There is a way of working together, and hopefully this Bristol Aztecs thing is the start of, you know, us getting to the point where we can, like you say, professionalize the sport in this country. So yeah, I'm quite excited by it. I think what I'd like to see is a team in Bristol that is also in the ELF or the whatever the
I agree. That's the way forward. You guys need two teams.
But the thing is, you'll have the Scottish guys, that because the Scottish Claymores existed for a number of years, so those guys up there will want to, like, basically the old heads will be like, oh, that's where it needs to be, not in Bristol. But for those that have been in and around Bristol, I was part of a Bristol program with, you know, with the Aztecs. I always refer to Bristol as like the mecca of football for the UK, right? You got so many teams, so many great facilities, all, you know, all in this very, very small area. You know, you've got 3 university leagues, you've got the SGS Academy, you've got the national champions there now, and it's just a great place with great football people. And I hope that they do take that next step and get a team in the ELF. But I think from an ELF perspective, they're outside looking in, and they're like, no, we want London, we don't want Bristol, we never heard of Bristol, you know. And I think it was a little bit of like snobbery around the location, like, you know, not fully understanding what there actually is in Bristol. But I hope that the team in London paves the way for Bristol to be able to launch a team into that next level, which would be awesome. But anyway, is there any? Well, we'll wrap it up. I thought there'd be loads of questions coming in. There isn't, which is cool. But it's been great chatting to you, Jay. Is there anything that you want to sign off with, say, before we part ways?
No, man. Just I'm appreciative for your time and like being a part of this and growing the game however I can. So anybody feels like they got any questions for me, reach out. I'm more than willing to help however I can, and, you know, grow the game one person at a time.
Well, the next time I'm at a Bullets game, which I don't know when it will be, but I'll come and say hello and introduce myself face to face. But really, a massive pleasure meeting you, Jay, and really appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Take care. Bye bye.